hope that, or being told that under the ASEAN community, people can cross border easily, particularly skilled labor. Professional people like medical doctors, dentists, pharmacy, teachers, etc., architect, engineer can go to work in different countries easily. There will be special economic zone. So there's hope that the border will become a new center of activities. Expansion of agricultural production. In the case of northern Thailand, you find that many hills, many the mountainous landscape has been converted into corn fields. Here's some example from Mysore province, and of course, those free migrant workers, they are from the neighboring country. They are paid about 120 baht per day and have to spray insecticide from 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the evening. This is unskilled labor working in the border town, Mysore, collecting garbage. Even, of course, this is again, it's a free border crossing, but being forced to flee. These are the people who were affected by fighting inside Myanmar, and this has happened in the last, not only in the last 30 years, but even last 2 weeks, or last 2 or 3 weeks, they were fighting opposite to Yang people, fled across the border and repatriated. Now, some of them are living in this camp. They estimate about 140,000 refugees in 9 camps in Thailand. So what are the future of these people? If we are talking about ASEAN country, why 140,000 refugees are still here along the border? Most of them don't have nothing to do except waiting for some humanitarian assistance from UNHCR or from other international NGOs. And they go back home. Some of them do not have even any identification card. According to the Thai Border Consortium, last year there were about 1,200 babies born without any ID card, stateless children. So what will happen next 5 years or next year when we are entering ASEAN community? Who are these people? Are they ASEAN citizens or not? No. These are the life of the children in the camps. Third one is about the connectivity with regard to investment. I'll go briefly. Again, I'm not an economist to give you the whole picture of investment in ASEAN, but give you an example of this in one province in Cambodia called Udon Menchak, where Thai sugar company has been investing in producing sugarcane. So the Cambodian government gave 200,000 hectares of land concession for 70 years to one of these three companies, and most of them, all of them, even though they have English name or Cambodian Khmer name, but they are Thai companies, Thai capital. What happened to this? Because people live in this area, so the way to get evict people out is to use force from local militia. Their houses were burned, and some of them were eaten. These are what happened in Cambodia. So I think this kind of connectivity is sorry, it we would call it the capital accumulation to dispossession. In other words, you gain more money, gain more capital, increase your investment, gain more income, but you kick people out from the land. That's what is happening. And the company, because the situation of human rights in Cambodia is not, well, there's not a strong human rights commission in Cambodia to take this case seriously, but Thai National Human Rights Commission of Thailand has been listening to the complaints and grievances by people. Now, the last point that I would like to talk about is the construction and exchange of knowledge on ASEAN. That because of this gap between ASEAN as imagined, one market, one product, one production base, and one identity. But the reality is, on the ground is so much different. So what kind of knowledge we have if we as scholars and researchers do not try to understand, not try to gain more understanding and knowledge about the life of the people in the ASEAN community, then we will not know the cases that are true. No, we have less study done about the refugees in the camp. In fact, myself, I'm involved in that. But our Ministry of the Interior does not allow me and my team to enter into the camp. It's considered to be sort of under the Ministry of Interior jurisdiction. Now, there's some, if we are talking about the whole ASEAN, I don't think we don't have enough manpower, enough time and resources to study the whole ASEAN community. But there are some examples which I think we can follow. For example, in fact, this week, 3 days ago, I have invited Nancy Chong, a writer from Singapore, who did a study. She wrote oral history of the business tycoon in Indonesia. His name is Lim Siao Liang, the man on the right-hand side. He is the business pillar of Suharto. Wonderful, very detailed study of the business elite, the Salim group. Some of you who smoke cigarettes, the Kratek cigarette under the name of Jerem, that's owned by Lim Siao Liang. This person, he has been the one who lent support to Suharto at the beginning to make sure that he is stay in power politically, while he also enjoy his business empire. He is the man who owns many banks, made a big cigarette company, and also flour mills. So I think this kind of study may be interesting for us to look at the business elite in ASEAN. I wish that some of our colleagues here can study who has increased his empire into China and into Myanmar as well. In northern Myanmar, Jaren Pokapan has invested a lot of money to grow corn, sell it to China, and also chicken farms in Myanmar. How about the Vietnamese role in Thailand, in Laos, and in Cambodia? How about the certain ethnic group, which is very powerful in Malaysia and Singapore? I'm aware of there's one project very interesting, led by Dr. Yutaka from Naraison University, but I do not know the title of the project. But it's about ASEAN wisdom. Interview the life history of some ASEAN intellectual like Professor Myint, economist, famous economist from Myanmar. Perhaps we can do something about food and rice, which is quite common in ASEAN. We don't have any knowledge about the old trade route in the Southern River. People from Melson before the railroad came, they go down to Molameng or Mot Lam Yai nowadays. Trade cheap flown from Melson down to the Bai River and Southern River. And those who goods from Western country come from Molameng or from Molam Yai up to Melson. So we don't have knowledge about the old trade route and the history of the Southern River. In fact, we have very meager information about the Southern River, which is a surprise to. Similar to Mekong, we don't have that. With Mekong River, we have more than that. Now, how about the ethno-religious group, the ethnic minorities in Thailand, in southern part of Thailand where we have conflict, and of course, at least 137 ethnic groups in Myanmar. We do not know anything about the people in ASEAN. So they are a good example of their lack of knowledge. So here, if we are talking about ASEAN identity, we don't even know what would constitute ASEAN identity. I think in a short time, I look at ASEAN community like when we have an Asian game or Southeast Asian game, each country will come to compete in this sport arena with their own national flag, national team. There's no such Southeast Asian identity or ASEAN identity. But of course, we can talk about game or a kind of a trade networks or something that we do together, but not exactly under the same identity. So what I have tried to say is that if we talk about social construction of knowledge, there's a meager or poverty or paucity of knowledge on the life of the people, on what exactly happening on the ground. So here is a big gap. I hope that some of you here would dare to fill this gap. But of course, not only one person, but we need a lot of help. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chaya. ขอบคุณมากค่ะอาจารย์ชยันนะคะอาจารย์ชยันได้กล่าวถึงนะคะเรื่องของโอกาสดีๆในการที่จะมีการได้เข้าสู่ประชาคมอาเซียนในปีหน้านี้นะคะมีโอกาสที่ดีๆเกิดขึ้นนะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็นในเรื่องของการที่จะมีการใช้โอกาสที่เรื่องของการค้าชายแดนนะคะหรือก็มีการเรื่องของภาษานะคะที่จะมีการแลกเปลี่ยนเรื่องของชุมชนในประชาคมอาเซียนเกิดขึ้นนะคะใช้ภาษาอังกฤษมากขึ้นอะไรต่างๆแต่ในขณะเดียวกันอาจารย์ก็ได้พูดถึงปัญหานะคะที่จะเกิดขึ้นแถวบริเวณชายแดนนะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องของการปัญหาในเรื่องของความขัดแย้งของชาติพันธุ์นะคะที่จะเกิดขึ้นปัญหาเรื่องของประชาชนไร้สัญชาตินะคะที่จะเกิดขึ้นด้วยมีโครงการขนาดใหญ่ๆเกิดขึ้นนะคะจะร่วมกันก็จริงนะคะแต่ว่าก็ต้องมาคำนึงถึงเรื่องของประโยชน์ที่จะเกิดขึ้นด้วยเช่นว่าใครจะเป็นผู้ได้รับผลประโยชน์เช่นโครงการการสร้างเขื่อนต่างๆที่จะเกิดขึ้นและใครที่จะได้รับผลกระทบจากการสร้างเขื่อนด้วยนะคะนอกจากนี้แล้วนะคะอาจารย์ยังกล่าวถึงเรื่องของอาจารย์พูดถึงเรื่องของแกปหรือช่องว่างต่างๆนะคะที่จะเกิดขึ้นในเมื่อมีเรื่องของการเข้าสู่ประชาคมอาเซียนเศรษฐกิจของอาเซียนแล้วนี่นะคะแล้วก็ยังมีอาจารย์ยังพูดถึงเรื่องของผู้ลี้ภัยนะคะบริเวณชายแดนด้วยทำอย่างไรกับผู้ปัญหาของผู้ลี้ภัยบริเวณนี้ด้วยนะคะนอกจากนี้อาจารย์ยังพูดถึงเรื่องของการลงทุนอาจารย์ยกตัวอย่างในประเทศกัมพูชานะคะซึ่งเกี่ยวกับเรื่องของการใช้แรงงานที่นั่นแล้วก็พวกผลกระทบของแรงงานที่ในกัมพูชานะคะว่า รงงานท้องถิ่นที่